Welcome to another episode of Stage Diving with Scotty. My guest is the two gentlemen from the Undertaking. I've got Austin, I say Visser, yeah, right?
Okay. Correct, yeah, good work.
And Johnny Mercury, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Usually I don't do last names. I figured to write on the screen. I'll just say them. Why not? Well, gentlemen, I wanted to throw it off the bat. I'm sure a lot of people do, of how they heard you. And I was telling Austin, I believe, was, oh no, we were talking about Law Dispute. I'm sorry, because of my shirt. But it was kind of the same way. How I found you guys out was a little bit of first little promotion on Facebook and Instagram and stuff from other, because I follow a bunch of bands, obviously, and I'm friends with a bunch of these guys too from Indie Vision Music. And one of them pointed out the Undertaking was coming out with a single and a new single and this, that. I'm like, okay, what's this? And finally followed you guys for a little bit, and then finally saw the release and heard it. And I think it was the first hit off the new one. It was it The River or not The River?
Oh, Negative.
Was O Negative?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it No Friends the first one, or was it O
Nope.
Negative?
Nope. Oh, Negative was the first one.
See,
that
I don't
came
even
out.
know.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
It feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, because you guys have been promoting the snot out of this thing, and that's what's been so cool too, is that you guys are just in it, and I love that you guys are just in it, and you're the DIY, and I think you guys are just nailing that. But anyways, so my first impression, I heard it and I was going, holy crap, that guy's voice! I feel like he's gonna be bleeding by the end of this song. Austin, your screaming is, because I'm so used, because I listen to a lot of metal and stuff, whatnot too, and a lot of these bands are so controlled and so smooth with their screaming and such, all this kind of stuff. And then I listen to you, and it just sounds like pure emotion and raw. Just, it's from my throat. I'm gonna get it out, and it threw me off, because I was expecting sort of that again, I hate to say like control, not to say you're out of control, but yours just feels more raw to me. And so when I heard it, I was like, okay, I'm digging this. I like this. This is right from the gut, I don't know. That's what I thought. But the music was just cool. It was so unpredictable and just had a funky groove to it. And I'm like, this almost reminds me a little bit of, I heard it said before, but I kind of like add every time I die, but a little bit of He Is Legend to me. And I feel like it was like a little mishmash of that.
Sure.
A little bit of groove with some raw, some punk, some metal, and just a big smash of like, here you go. Here's the Undertaking.
I keep staring into the great divide, assuming something will blow me out. There's a hole inside my soul, cries out for something more. I keep sinking deeper and deeper down. It's ripping me apart.
Because the album did not disappoint, by the way. So just a heads up. Anyways.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So I'm gonna turn on a real quick. I'm kind of disappearing. I'm disappearing in the sunset. Hold on.
Okay.
There we go. All right, we're good.
Johnny, what's that guitar behind you? I can't really tell.
What?
It's a Viper 256. Is that what they're called? I don't know. I got it. It was like $300 on Reverb, and I can smash it up and make sounds out of it. So I'm not a huge gearhead. I'm kind of like whatever works and whatever is not going to break the bank.
Dude, I'm with you, man.
I like having parameters, and then I find out how to deal within it.
Yeah. I wish I had like a spare guitar to smash if I ever get the chance to, but I never got to. And so the only ones I had, I ended up screwing up pretty bad. But I haven't damaged my baby back there yet, so I'm not planning on doing that. So, okay, so funeral psalms, I'm sure you guys have talked the crap out of this, but man, I haven't, so for me, a lot of, I'll go straight into the lyric thing. I was reading your lyrics and stuff when you guys first were throwing stuff out, and it was so like, I know there's bands that are like really personal, and there's bands that are very upfront as well, and sometimes both. And I love the honesty in your lyrics, because they felt like me when I was really trying to grasp my thoughts. I didn't know I didn't know how to express how I was feeling, but you were like writing those lyrics like, I felt that way before. I felt like that many times. That's a great way of putting that. You know, like how we do with a lot of these bands. Like for me, Jeremy Enoch, he speaks how I wish I could speak through poetry. And then there's times where bands where it's just like a straight thing, like what you're doing of just raw emotion. To me, at least to me, it's like raw emotion, questioning where you're at right now in the moment or what's happening, like No Friends.
I can disappear with the best of them. You don't want me here. No goodbye. Words of all. It's me. I'm selfish. I am rude. Conceited. I am vain. But damn it, so are you. Don't act like you're not guilty too.
Or that kind of thing, or I don't want to be here anymore. And it's that kind of thing. It just really spoke to me almost more than your music did. But I wanted to commend you on that because that's one of the first things I noticed once I really enjoyed your sound. I was like, what is he saying? Not just because it was, screaming like a lot of these bands do, but it really was about what you were saying. And I thought it really hit me because it spoke to where I was and where I am now, that I'm kind of over that in a way. Let me just say this. I can see it from a different lens nowadays. So it's not a depressing thing, but it's a good questionable thing. It's a human thing. It's an adult thing too, to go, yeah, I feel like that before, and not just sit in it and wallow in it, if that makes sense.
Well, there's a level to what we're trying to do. And you've said raw a couple times, which I love that you keyed in on, like that raw kind of uncontrolled sound that we bring. You said uncontrolled, and you're like, not that you're uncontrolled, but like that fires me up, that's something that you take away from our sound, because we try to be very raw, very uncontrolled. And one of the takeaways for me is when Solid State came out with our bio, they talked about how we don't like to sit in emotions or something, and people didn't quite understand what they wrote in our bio about that. But what it is like, we're totally fine processing emotion, anxiety and depression, and like feeling that, does that make sense? Like at some point we're not just gonna like push away how we feel. We're gonna distill that into our music. And for me as a vocalist, I'm just trying to go out there and put something that I actually mean, something that we've walked through, and put it out there in the most raw form. And I don't know if people are comfortable, not saying that I'm putting too much emotion out there, but like every word I'm saying, like there's some experience in my life that's informed that. And you've picked up on that. And Johnny, like you can echo into that. Like we've all felt these different times of different emotions coming out. And I think that we're trying to tap into just that raw, like nerve feeling of like anger and depression, anxiety, but then at the same time, we're not going to ever take ourselves too seriously and have a ton of fun while doing it. So it's like this weird balance where we're going to be fun. We're going to dive into pop culture and be like, yo, we're super into Star Wars and any Loki show that's coming out, but at the same time, it's going to be like dark, a little aggressive.
Yeah. And I would say even the music that we try to write reflects that too, where we don't want to get too polished with things. Like we want it to be messy and we want it to feel raw. And so we'll shy away from stuff that's like, that's a little too clean. Like we need to, let's drag it through the mud and then see what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah, no, you can definitely feel that. I think that's what's even more, I admire even more about it is, because you get those bands, you get those songs where you want them to just grab that from your chest and you want to scream it out yourself. So when you got someone who's actually screaming really what you're trying to say, it's so like a weird comfort, it's so like liberating. And it's so cool to hear that, that you guys, well, even like for you, like Johnny, and I'm sure the other guys too, like when you're playing and what's being said, it's that almost even more driven where you just want to rip that freaking crap out of your guitar and just
For
like,
sure.
yeah, you know, just whatever song, whatever part it is of the song, and you just want to just go freaking nuts. And you know,
yeah, it's exactly that. I was telling Austin, I was running through the set the other night here in my garage, and I was like just sitting, you know, sitting down and like going through our stuff, and then I was like, I need to stand up. I need to stand up for this. And then I'm like here by myself just jumping around like an idiot, but I'm like I need to move like with this music. It's
yeah.
just I don't know.
No, that's totally it, man. I get that, absolutely. That's what's hard about for my band, because we're just like a recording band. So
Mhm.
we're playing these songs. It's fun to play, and we're getting to it, and everything's got to be on time and that kind of stuff. But it doesn't obviously have that same feeling where it's more visceral and it's more organic. When, and again, I'll say it again, but raw when you're just live, and it's that energy that's feeding off of each other. And the one time Aaron and I just went and just started playing something together instead of just, you know, sending files back and forth. We came up with this one of our songs called "Killing Time," and that was one that a lot of people liked more than any of the other songs, and it worked really well. And just the feeling of working together again was just really, it meshed well, and I missed that because I used to be in bands where I clicked so well with the other guys, and then it was just so frustrating when I moved up to Northern California, and I didn't click with almost anybody. And everybody was either in a cover rock band, or they're in a metal band and we're terrible, or they're in their youth group and stuff, but no one wants to play anything outside of that. And it's like,
Sure.
well, I'm kind of sitting here playing my solo emo stuff, and I don't know what to do here. But yeah, that when you're playing with somebody though, man, what a difference that makes. And then even if you're just jumping around by yourself and getting into it, it makes such a difference, because then wherever you go from there with your guitar,
Yeah.
it could be something completely different than if you were just sitting there. I know people probably won't understand what we're talking about unless you're a musician, but yeah, there's something about that which is so cool. And again, organic. And when you're just feeling your guitar and you're feeling the moment of the song, and it's just such an interesting, different dynamic. Oh, someone must have walked into the room.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, so for me in my writing process, like, you know, to weigh it against Law Dispute, where I feel like a band like them, they're going to filter their lyrics through the emotion, and then they're going to put it into poetry. And I feel like I stop at the poetry part where I'm like, these are real emotions or real things that you've either thought or said at some point. And for me, I try to really mean every single thing that I say, which is heavy, because on funeral songs, we get really dark in some of our themes, and even the stuff that we put out before, like there's a lot of dark themes in there. But then just to be able to process that, and then when we're out there, like you're talking about, that visceral feel is when we're playing these songs live and we're yelling, and Johnny's doing second vocals and guitar and all this kind of stuff. Like everybody in our band is like really just diving into this like mess of us even playing live, which something we haven't done much in the last year and a half is we're really energetic on stage. So we're able to take that feeling of our music, but also match that with our performance on stage. And we're like so stoked to get out there and start playing shows again.
Oh yeah. I think I mentioned it the other day. I posted about, it's cool to see all these people posting on Instagram and all the social outlets of just all the concerts going on, whether it be a small little band or a big band or whatever. There really is. There's something almost like this new energy with the bands that are playing and the people that are going, and it's just this overwhelming joy and just almost like a new gratitude for live music again.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
as it should be. I mean, that's like
Absolutely.
The biggest thing coming out of the pandemic. Like we need people to show up to venues, especially like if you want the music industry to survive,
yes,
like buy tickets and go support bands, small bands, big bands, whatever it looks like, but go out and support stuff. Speaking of, Scott, I've been meaning to tell you, I think we'll be in Sacramento on October 9th.
Right around my birthday. I love it. Happy birthday to me.
Let's go. So we haven't announced it yet, but we got a tour going up and down the West Coast. So we start in San Diego and then go up to Sacramento. So we'll be up in your neck of the woods. I'd love to see you in person and meet you. So,
dude, that'd be so freaking rad, man. Oh, dude, if it's anything like your guys' videos and your I saw your performance on the Harley Davidson, the little clips and stuff. Oh my gosh, I don't know if any place is going to be left standing. Very stoked, man. That's awesome. That's so cool.
On that note, though, one of the things about our videos is we here.
Who's that? Who's that?
This is my 5-year-old.
Hey, bud.
Hi, bud. He's pointing to my ears. He's like, "Are they in your ear?" So the thing about our music videos is everything we do in a music video, we're gonna do live, and so there's no performance involved in that because everything we do is maybe even more extreme on a stage, which is something we kind of take pride in.
Well, okay? Johnny, I want to ask you a question, but I gotta ask something though. Okay, your throat has got to be toast. Like after some of the, I just feel like you got so much that you're exuding that it's. I don't know. Like, how do you think you're gonna last through all these shows? It just sounds so raw.
I can do it for about an hour without being dead the next day. And so if I can make it through a 25, 30-minute set, I'm fine. And so that's part of the process too, is just like repetition. It's just like running and doing, like anytime you're exercising or something, the more you do it, the more you can kind of train your body to respond different ways. And,
good point.
And the fortunate thing during this whole pandemic, we all live in North County, San Diego. And so every Monday, we were all kind of within our bubble during COVID. So we practiced throughout the pandemic. And so we practice almost every Monday night. And so we're just constantly trying to figure out, like, okay, how would this work?
Okay.
Different parts in the song. Can I drop into a lower registry? Are there different things that I can do? Which kind of adds a fun wrinkle. I know sometimes maybe people want to go to a show and see the band play something exactly how it sounds on the album.
Yeah.
But I think in our style, there's a little bit of it's a lot of spontaneity involved in our show, where there's different opportunities for me to do different things with my voice. And then too, Johnny sings on some of the songs now, so I can kind of give myself a little bit of a break here and there. But yeah, what I do is not good. It's not it's not sustainable. It's not healthy. Like I know I'm going to be able to do this for like 5 more years, and then I'm going to get like some kind of throat disease because it's just not good.
Well, is it the same for you, Johnny? Like when you're doing it too? I mean, is it take a real big toll on you, or is it kind of like you don't
really
do it as much as Austin,
yeah,
but you do enough to where it could, like, mess up your voice?
I mean, singing in general, you're gonna get fatigued from it, and
Yeah.
Austin's doing a very like intense push with his voice, and so anytime I'm doing it, I'm kind of like I'm doing it like a cheater way when I'm trying to back him up, and then I'm like handling the cleans too, which isn't that much of a problem for me.
Okay.
But Austin, it's funny with with his voice too. Like he does this, like when you're like pretend yelling at somebody,
Yeah.
he'll do that where he's not even pushing hard, and he can turn on that like grit and that distortion. And I don't even know if Austin, if you notice you're doing it, but you can like flip a switch and that just comes on. And like, there's a way for you to do that. Like when he's singing, he'll do that during some of our songs, and it's like getting that same effect of
Without
doing
pushing.
full force push, but it's not, gonna destroy his throat.
I don't want to get into too much of the nuances of it, but I go to the gym every day. I run a mile and I'm on the treadmill for like a half an hour because most of our set is cardio.
Yeah.
And at some point it's all lung control and breath control. So the more that I'm used to just bouncing around and jumping around, like if I'm not out of breath, I can still push. And so, yeah, there's little tricks and stuff that we can kind of put into place, but yeah, it's fun, dude. It all comes down to us just having like an absolute riot playing our music, and we have so much fun.
We have too much fun. We have too much fun.
That's so great, man. Because sometimes you wish that people would just, not worry about being like a rock star, or just that presentation. It's so done. Play for the love of music, for goodness sakes. I still like the bands that are kind of like, put on a good show, like Muse or something. But at the same time, there's something more that's more appealing to me, like you guys, or like, or a lot of Dispute, or Architects, whatever, there's something to that that's just way more appealing to me than the showmanship of it all. I like the raw emotion. I love the crazy guitars. I love in the moment kind of stuff. So that's just more appealing to me.
We really hope, I mean, at some point too, like we're just a baby band in the sense of our story and our size. And for us, we're all in our mid 30s. And for us to be able to have started a band like 2-3 years ago and to get signed and to put out this album and to be doing the things that we're doing, like it's never lost on us that this is an opportunity that we can't take for granted.
Yeah.
And every single time you have Johnny and I on here where we have kids and full-time jobs and families and stuff. So every time that we play music, there's a sacrifice involved with our family of spending time away or asking for childcare, asking for our spouses to do a little bit more of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And so every time that we get away to do this stuff, there's just this immense, I'm not trying to get into the pressure aspect of it because there's pressure for us to make sure that it's worth our time. But then at the same time, we're like enjoying every single moment of it because we know that at any time, like one, this shouldn't be happening, or two, we can lose it all because it's just not working for our families. So if we didn't take it for granted, you know, we're just willy-nilly with how much time we're spending away from our families, and that all falls apart and the band falls apart. So all that to say is like every single time we choose to do something with the band, we have to make sure it's 100% and we have to go out there and have as much fun and make the most of it as we can. And so like in October, like I said, we're going on a week run tour. We know that that's a huge deal for our family. So what are we going to do? We're going to be so prepared to go out and just absolutely crush every single show that we're going to do and put on a show and hang out with people and just try to show people like we're just a bunch of normal dudes who are out here. We shouldn't be here, but we're here and we're having fun and playing music. So that's my soapbox for the day.
You feel the same way, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what Austin said. You know, like we all grew up playing in bands when we were, you know, in our teens and stuff like that. And the last band before the Undertaking I was in, I think I was 19 or something. And I was kind of like, well, I guess everyone sort of moved to a different part of the country. And I was like, well, I guess I'm done doing music in like the hardcore realm. And so I kind of hung up my hat, you know, on it. And then when we got the Undertaking together, I was like, okay, like if we're going to do this though, I want to make sure we do it because of all the things, like because of the job, because of the family, that extra time that we're putting into it. Like, let's make it count and let's have fun. You know, when it stops being fun, then I don't want to do it anymore, you know, but we're loving every second of it.
No, that's great, man. I think that I find that so admirable because, you know, and that's what's kind of cool. I think in a way, as I'm realizing is when I talk to certain bands and whether online or on here, and some people are like around my age and around your guys' age, and they're still like they're just going for it. And I think it's so cool to see that they're not letting their age, not letting you know, even like certain things get to the best of them, and they're just going for it. You know, it sucks that it's not like how it used to be, where it was a little more lucrative, and now it's about. I think who was it? I think it was actually, I can't remember if it was the lead singer Caspian. This is weird. So it's either the lead singer Caspian or if it was Skylar from He Is Legend, who said you pretty much just got to be a clothing company now if you want to make any money. And it's like, oh crap, that sucks.
So we get signed to Solid State in May of 2020. Our album doesn't come out till April of April 30th, right? April 30th of 2021. So from announcement to putting out our first album, it's almost a year of all that time going by. We, in the meantime, we're a band, right? But at the same time, we're a content creator and we're a apparel company. That's what we are.
Yeah.
And so at some point, like when you see us posting stuff every day or trying to just stay active, it's because we're creating content for people and then trying to put out clothing for people to purchase. I mean, that's like, and hopefully those two avenues then kind of push people to our music, which is so weird. It's so weird.
It's definitely not like how it used to be.
No, we're managed by Joey Bradford, who's the guitarist of the Used. So he's a good buddy of ours, and that's who recorded and produced our album. He's our manager as well. And those are words that he told us. Is like, now you're an apparel company. You're an apparel company.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so that's why you see us too kind of be a little bit aggressive with our merch rollouts and trying to have new stuff every couple months and stuff, because that's how money gets to us. All not in no derogatory way, but all the money that we make from any music, which is very little to begin with, goes to the label, and stuff from merch comes to us. So that's why we're always trying to push apparel and merch as much as we can.
Oh yeah.
When light is white, look up to the sky. I'm praying more than I used to. Falling down has brought me to where I am. Godless men found their way through the dark. It's how we live until we give up again. I see the shadows coming.
Oh yeah, and I think you guys have such speaking of albums, I think your guys' artwork from the beginning of was Scavenger, was it Swap Meet? Wait.
Oh yeah, so Swap Meet was the first single we ever put out, which the stuff pre Solid State was all done by Dave Quiggle, who is a longtime hardcore art guy, just amazing dude in general. My tattoo artist, Johnny's tattoo artist, but he's a buddy of ours who does all the stuff for Face Down Records. And so I've been getting tattoos from Dave for years. And when we started the band, I was like, can we maybe get you to do some artwork for us? And he was like, begrudgingly, like, yeah, I'll help you guys out.
It's funny now thinking about that he did that, because I'm like, I don't know why.
know.
I don't know why he did. He probably felt like he couldn't say no because you. had that
He's too
relationship.
nice.
He's too
Yeah.
nice. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, so that started with us, like growing up on Face Down Records stuff and looking at Dave's artwork, getting to know him as a person and a tattoo artist. And then when we started the band, it was like, well, every decision we're gonna make, we're gonna go like full kids say full Cindy's, you know. So every single time we're gonna make a decision, we're gonna be like, well, what's the biggest, best thing that we can do?
Yeah.
And for us to start with Dave being our artist was pretty cool. And then he crushed it with the singles with the Ghost Boy and the
Yes.
Witch and the Werewolf.
Oh,
Like
yes.
some of the coolest stuff
I love
that we have is from him. And then all the accolades to Adam Scatula, our A&R guy at Solid State, for what he did art directing our album. Just amazing stuff. We worked with an artist named Trey Hales who does all the Counterparts album artwork. I don't know if you're familiar with Counterparts and what they've done.
No.
But this young kid, up and coming, Trey Hales, he's the one who did our artwork on Funeral Psalms, and all the a lot of the stuff that you're seeing on the merch too was him. And just Adam Scatula was the guy who pushed that forward and just did such a good job art directing that. And that was like such a fun process to be a part of.
Oh, I bet. It's such a cool and unique look, and I just love like weird dark stuff anyways, and I've always been like a Tim Burton fan, and just very macabre stuff, and not terribly macabre, but I mean just like slightly more darker of a tone than most things. And so when I saw like your covers and the
For sure.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Are you a horror film fan?
I used to be.
You watch horror movies?
Yes, lots.
Okay, so our album artwork is a mix of The Witch, Midsommar, and Darren Aronofsky's The Mother. And so those three movies are kind of what moved. That's what our artwork for Funeral Psalms is. And I feel like a lot of the stuff before with the ghost and stuff is very Tim Burton and like Jack Skellington, like kind of playful horror stuff, like a little bit of the Beetlejuice vibe as well.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, with that, you're speaking our language when you're talking about that. Where even for us, like Johnny and I both work at a church, but we're also kind of always playing around. This is a little bit controversial, but we always kind of play around with a little bit of the occult and like Hellboy imagery and stuff like that. Like always kind of trying to keep like one foot into the controversy, but at the same time, like it's Funeral Psalms. Like obviously it's influenced by the Book of Psalms and the Bible and what David did and all that kind of stuff. So trying to always kind of play the two sides of having some artwork that's a little bit controversial and maybe spooky, maybe occult, like you never know, but
that makes total sense now, that cover.
Robert Eggers is the director of that, and
Okay,
he
yeah,
did
that's right.
not rely on jump scares in that. He did not rely on jump scares at all in that movie, and so that's like the final scene in that movie is when she finally embraces like Black Phillip and going into the forest and finding the witches, and that's like the fire that they're all around. So that's like the main theme of our album artwork, which is the fire. And then on the border, you have kind of that pagan imagery and like the 4 icons in the corner, and that's the Midsommar kind of more cultish, Swedish, whatever, Nordic like imagery. And,
Yeah.
and the font on the album is from Mother. So yeah, it's like the beauty of what we're doing. And it's kind of this joke that we get to pull off on our own is that everything we do has just a ton of pop culture references. Like even in the album, like I was able to put Cowabunga on Funeral
Yeah, I
Songs.
noticed that.
So Scott, I feel like you're starting to see like there's this like very serious tone that we set with our music, but then at the same time, we're always gonna layer it in. And like every single song, there's at least like a little bit of a pop culture reference or some sort of title that ties into something else. I don't know. Like that's part of the fun that we get to pull off here, where we can be really serious and our music can be dark and heavy and aggressive, and the tones can be delving into postpartum depression and anxiety and all this stuff about falling apart, everybody's screwed. But then at the same time, we're like, like let's have fun with it. So
it's like I said before, we're having too much fun with it. So some people might be like, this is weird, what are you guys doing? But we're like, we like it, so this is what we're gonna do.
And I think that's one of the things again that appealed to you guys. You just seem like you really enjoy who you are, you enjoy what you're doing, and it shows. And as silly as like, something as a simple tweet of pop culture reference or something like that, it's just fun. It just shows personality. It doesn't always have to be something so serious and or what the topic is of the day. And I think that's what's so fun, because just like to go back to our horror talk, that's what's so great about when you get those little moments of, even if it's dark humor, a little bit of a release valve in that dark moment. Like what we're talking about, dark movies, like what was Hereditary? That's another really dark movie. Like I think I had like a moment or two, maybe a moment or two of slight humor, which is kind of like, okay. And then, then the daughter's head gets ripped off by a pole. So, I mean, but I mean, but just like the music, there's a little pop culture reference, and it just, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's fun. And, and then you got people who do it like really well in where it's a lot of pop culture reference, just like my friends, Grandpa Loves Rhinos, they're a punk band. And they have lots of pop culture references where it's almost, I'm like, oh man, they really know their pop culture. Ninja Turtles and Star Wars and, Pokemon and all this stuff. I'm like, holy cow, even I don't know some of these references. But yeah, it's fun. But even with them, they have some like serious, content, but still keep it really, keep a sense of humor about it too, or do it in a, in storytelling of having that kind of mesh well together. So you're going like, that's something to think about, and yet kind of smile too, because you're like, yeah, that was fun. Had they kind of bundled that in together. So.
Well, that's part of what we're trying to create here is we get out of San Diego and we start playing other places. Like I would love nothing more than to go up to Sacramento and just talk Kings basketball with people. Or like go into San Francisco and talk about how the Giants like are the worst team in baseball right now because they're ahead of the Padres in the standings, or whatever movie or whatever. Like there's something bigger than just music here, where I think we're trying to create an environment where we're going out there and just hanging out with people. We're normal dudes that you can get to know, and whatever like it is. Like you want to talk Nightmare Before Christmas or whatever it is, like let's hang out, let's just chat.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, we won't go into it because, I mean, I know you guys could probably talk about it because I know you guys are comic book fans. But my brother, Billy, is a professional stuntman. And he was on, oh my gosh, he was on the most recent Loki. He was on there. He was doing stuff for Loki.
That's dope.
How do you No, I'm always so interested in how people get into that industry. So like, how did he get into that?
It was just one day I don't remember specifically the details of it, but I remember it was literally like one day he just like, I'm going to go to stunt school. Oh, okay. All right. And then I don't remember where that was, but he went to it. He did his little reel where he was set on fire, got hit by a car, did some pratfalls, whatever you call it. And then before you know it, he's doing the the Western show at Knott's Berry Farm, doing that for years. He was doing that, and then while doing that, he's doing like Prison Break. He did that Gina Carano movie, I forgot the one with Ewan McGregor.
Haywire.
Huh?
Haywire.
Yeah, he doubled.
Haywire.
Yeah, he doubled for
Yes.
Ewan McGregor on the beach over there when he got beat up by her at the very end. That was him.
Dude, that movie's yeah, no way. That movie's super dope. If you like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm obsessed with like little niche careers like that are just like you have to pick a very specific path, but then if you're good at that, like he's on Loki, that's so sick. Like that's like I don't know. I didn't even know if he's making good money on that, but that's just like really cool.
That's awesome to be able to do.
But he's been on Iron Fist. He's been on quite a few of the Marvel stuff.
Dang.
Well, imagine that Marvel Disney Plus stuff with like the what's the thing that they film in with the Mandalorian and now Loki, that the big bubble thing that projects the CGI around them.
Oh, and I didn't know that.
No, so they've completely redesigned how you film CGI environments where they're projecting it all around. So it's on Disney Plus or YouTube. I'm sure you can find it. Like some of the stuff that they're doing with those Disney Plus shows is insane. And I imagine that if you're in that crew, like that's a very good crew to be in because they're just gonna like keep that stuff going.
Yes. Yeah. It's just fun to see him do that because we used to do that as kids, film our own movies and super cheesy stuff, and jumping off the couch into a big pile of things under your hardwood garage door and stuff like that. And now he's actually doing it and gets paid to do it. It's just one of those things. It's like, yeah. And then I'm making music, which I've always wanted to do, and so it's fun because that's how any of this started for me. Anyways, was because of him, and he showed some of my music to a friend of his named Max Wassa, who's our manager. And then she kind of said, "Hey, you should do something. Go, do a band. Go create a band." And so I did. And so then it kind of rolled out. It's like I was telling you guys beforehand about with George Romero and then starting this thing. And so it's just funny how all that kind of works out. But and I'll start with Billy. Billy kind of got that going for me. But it's so anyways. So I just thought I'd share that because you mentioned Loki, and I thought of Billy. And one time we tried to do one of these interviews talking about music. we tried, and all the worst things in the world kept on happening, and so it actually just became like a blooper reel instead of an actual episode. So it was just us like one thing after another.
I love it.
And he was wearing a Loki shirt and trying to promote it ahead of time, and so
that's cool.
But anyways, I'm sorry. I blab, but. Anyways, guys, I can't thank you so enough for your time. I really would love to talk more. maybe at a live show.
Yeah, dude.
But gosh, man, it just freaking it's almost 8:30. Dear Lord, it's so frustrating.
I love it.
No,
dude, that's the beauty of it. Yeah, if I mean that's the fun thing is when you start talking about music and stuff you're passionate about. I mean. That's all part of what we're trying to do. It's something we are having fun doing, and like I said earlier, we're so down to talk about our music and our process, and then the peripherals are we get to talk about movies and random like stunt
which is so
stuff.
fun.
It's so cool. But yeah, we're down to hop on anytime, man. I mean, even in a couple weeks, we'll hop back on or whatever you want.
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, just you said what, October 9th, right? Possibly. It looks like the date.
Yeah, I'm looking at the show flyer right now. It says Sacramento is October 9th. So we're going out with a couple label mates of ours and some friends. It'll be a good time up and down. So we're going San Diego, Sacramento, San Jose, up to Seattle and Portland, and then coming back down. So we're gonna hit the West Coast with that, but it should be fun. I don't know exactly where we're playing in Sacramento, but
Probably Ace of Spades, I'm guessing.
I don't.
But
Yeah, that was one of them, or there's one other venue, but we don't really care. We'll play wherever.
just play whatever. Yeah. Cool, man. All right. Okay. One more question, if it's gonna let me. I don't know if it's okay. So okay. All right.
Yeah, you're good.
At the very tail end. Okay, real quick. So what's Austin and Johnny? What are your favorite bands? The bands that got you into music, real quick. Like the first band that pops in your head, like, yeah, when I heard them, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Uh-oh.
That's such a hard question.
No, for me in San Diego, I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like POD was such a huge impact on my journey into hardcore. So POD in like the 90s used to play with NIV and Dogwood and some, like, hardcore bands.
Holy crap! Yeah. We used to we played with NIV and we played with Dogwood. My band, we were called Unchained. We used to play in like Redlands and all over the place. Okay, that's so awesome.
Yes. So NIV, they came from Escondido, which is where I was born and raised, and then Dogwood, even their Josh, their singer, is in Carlsbad now, down the street from us. So we've actually been in contact with those guys. Dave Quiggle, who we were talking about earlier, now plays guitar in NIV. So there's like a ton of connections, but all of that roots back to POD, NIV, Dogwood playing like church shows in Escondido and North County, San Diego. And so then as like POD kind of ramped up and started their ascendance into like MTV and stuff, it was always like, oh, that's so cool because they started here in San Diego. Yeah. And then clicking into what we're doing now is it's always going to be the Chariot and how they just put everything out there at every show. It was just very much this emotional, visceral experience. So those are POD, Dogwood, NIV, the Chariot kind of led me to where I'm at now.
Yeah, I think if we're speaking in terms of like the music that we're doing now, like the genre, I would listen to bands that weren't played on the radio, like tooth and nail bands like Emery and Me Without You. Those kind of opened my mind to and ears to what music could be, and kind of set me on the path to metalcore and screamo and emo and all those genres.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So
did I freeze up again?
No, you're good. I heard all that. That was good. At least that was all in one shot. Okay. So the what? And
just cut it in anywhere.
I promise this is the last question. What band now has impressed you that just kind of has blown you away as far as maybe that genre? Like for me, I was incredibly impressed with a band called Brand of Sacrifice. And I just feel like they are just nailing deathcore. It's just that their newest album is just so insane. Just so much ups and downs and just craziness with their talent is insane. So I don't know if anybody has kind of jumped out at you lately that's super impressive. You just blew your socks off.
I haven't gotten into them specifically. Okay. But Turnstile is a band that's just like tearing everybody up right now because I think they're doing a really smart job of combining kind of indie pop rock with hardcore, and I kind of don't get it. But everybody loves them. And I'm always going to be a fan of innovation. Like anybody who's trying something new and trying to push the sound forward, that's so cool. And for people to embrace it, I mean, that's really fun. So that's Turnstile. Like I'm not into those guys at all, but just to watch them do what they're doing is cool.
That's a really good call. I was listening to that EP today, and I was just impressed with the way that they took. It's almost like pop music, but then like soaked it in punk, you know. And then I feel like it can appeal to so many different music genre fans, you know. And it's cool how they're pulling that off. Yeah.
Anyway, so everybody can find you guys pretty much on the socials. You guys are very active online. Do you have like a website as well for people to go to?
If you want to go to the undertakingrocks.com, you can find links to our socials and our web store. All our music videos are up there. So go to the undertakingrocks.com and yeah, just follow us on Spotify. I mean, the biggest thing that we can push people towards is Spotify, because that's kind of the big bad algorithm that we're trying to crack. So
Yeah. All right, man. Yes, and I think I might have broken my Undertaking usage. So on Spotify. It's like, really, again, Scott?
please keep it going. Please.
All right, guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you very much. Thank you for taking the time. You both are awesome. I'll definitely hit you up again for a future chat. So thank you again.
Please. Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
man.
thanks for having us on.
Yeah, dude. Keep bugging us on Twitter and all that stuff. We love interacting with people, and anything we can do to keep the conversation going is fun.
Absolutely.